Welcome back to the series of sessions on advanced concrete technology. We were discussing module 1 cements. In this lecture, we will be discussing chemical and physical process of hydration and blended cements. When water is added to cement, major compounds in cement form chemical bond with water molecules and become hydrates. This procedure is known as hydration of cement. Only calcium silicate contribute to strength. Tricalcium silicate is responsible for early age strength and dicalcium silicate is responsible for strength at later ages. When tricalcium silicate of cement reacts with water, calcium silicate hydrate and calcium hydroxide along with heat is liberated. Calcium silicate hydrate or CSH is responsible for the strength of cement paste and calcium hydroxide does not contribute to the strength of cement paste. Addition of water to cement causes tricalcium silicate rapidly react and release calcium ions, hydroxide ions and large amount of heat. Liberation of alkaline hydroxide ions causes the pH to rise over 12, that is the concrete is maintained in the alkaline mode. The reaction slowly continues producing calcium and hydroxide ions until the system becomes saturated. Once the saturation is reached, calcium hydroxide starts crystallizing. Simultaneously, CSH or calcium silicate hydrate ion also begin to form. Ions precipitate out of the solution, accelerating the reaction of tricalcium silicate to calcium and hydroxide ions. The evolution of heat is also dramatically increased. The hydration will continue as long as water is present or unhydrated compound is present in the cement paste. Now let us discuss the reaction of dicalcium silicate with water. It produces calcium silicate hydrate as well as calcium hydroxide along with heat. Comparing the reaction of dicalcium silicate and tricalcium silicate, we can see that both C2S and C3S produces almost same amount of CSH gel. That is, the strength contributed by both of them are similar. But the amount of calcium hydroxide produced is less in case of dicalcium silicate, and also the heat of hydration is less in case of dicalcium silicate. So from the previous reaction studies, it is evident that both C3S and C2S has equal contribution towards strength, but when we are considering the heat of hydration, C3S is liberating more heat than C2S. In addition to C3S and C2S, the other two important components of cement are tricalcium aluminate and tetracalcium aluminoferrite. Aluminium oxides and iron oxides are added as the ingredients to cement in order to reduce the melting point of calcium and silicon oxide from 1700 degrees Celsius to 1500 degrees Celsius. The formation of aluminate and aluminoferrite causes flat setting of cement. The flat setting properties of cement due to the presence of C3A and C4AF can be rectified by the addition of gypsum. So the hydration chemistry is more complicated as the aluminoferrites and aluminates reacts with gypsum and the setting time of the cement get changed. Now let us consider blended cements. They are obtained by mixing ordinary Portland cements with the chemical admixtures such as fly ash, slag, silica fumes, ricer's cash, metakaolin, etc. Blended cements are considered to be superior to ordinary Portland cement as well as economical. Bureau of Indian Standards has specifications for PPC and PSC. PPC is created with the help of the addition of fly ash, which is a byproduct from the thermal power plants. PSC is obtained by adding slag, which is a byproduct of steel plants. Statistics shows that 1 ton of cement production releases 1 ton of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Also, the studies shows that 8% of carbon dioxide released to the atmosphere is due to the production of concrete. The greenhouse gases produced or liberated to the atmosphere due to the production of cement has the ability to increase the temperature of the atmosphere and hence it causes global warming. Global warming has the capability to alter the ability of the planet to support the present life forms. It is observed that due to global warming, a temperature of 1.9 to 5.3 degrees Celsius increase may be occurring in the coming 100 years. The statistics that we have discussed is the need for the blended cements. On the addition of pozzolanic materials to ordinary Portland cement improves the properties of OPC. Pozzolanic materials are industrial byproducts and hence it is economical that we add such materials to cement, as well as they can improve the workability and long-term strength and durability of concrete. Considering all these factors, blended cements are considered to be superior to ordinary Portland cement. We can categorize the advantages of blended cements as technical advantages and environmental advantages. Technical advantages of blended cements include water demand, workability, durability, strength and texture. This pozzolanic cements has the capability of reducing the water-cement ratio, hence we can reduce the consumption of water in concreting. Also, these fine powders when added to cement will definitely improve the workability characteristics of concrete. Pozzolanic materials react with the calcium hydroxide which is formed after the hydration of cement with water and it will create CSH gels additionally. So the strength of concrete created using the pozzolanic cement is found to be much more than that of ordinary Portland cement. This additional CSH is formed after the formation of CH in usual hydration process. Hence, the long-term strength of concrete will be better in pozzolanic cement concretes. So the durability characteristics will be better. Since finer powder is added to cement, it will definitely give a smooth texture to the concrete. Some more technical advantages are permeability, thermal stress and alkali-silica reaction. Considering the aspect of permeability, as we have discussed, blended cements are made with finely powdered pozzolanic materials. Hence, the concrete made from blended cements are more dense and hence the permeability values will be very less. It is observed that only 20% of the permeability of OPC is there for the pozzolanic materials. Hence, such cement and the concrete made from such cements are preferred in areas where there is a possibility of sulfate and chlorate attack. Now coming to the thermal stresses, with blended cement, the heat of hydration is less than that of OPC. As a result, the thermal stresses as well as the associated problems of cracking will be less in pozzolanic cemented concrete. Considering the alkali-silica reaction, alkali is the calcium hydroxide that is formed during hydration of cement. Silica is the compound that is found in the aggregates. The aggregate silica reacts with the calcium hydroxide of cement water paste and forms a compound which is having an expansive tendency and which will in turn cause cracking in concrete. In such case, it is always preferred to use blended cements because blended cements reacts with calcium hydroxide and forms CSH gels. Hence, additional calcium hydroxide will not be available for the reaction of silica and the formation of expansive materials. So, if there is a possibility of alkali-silica reaction, it is always preferred that we use blended cements. Environmental advantages of blended cements are conservation of energy, conservation of natural resources, conservation of water, and pollution control. Considering the conservation of energy, blended cements are obtained by adding mineral admixtures with OPC. The energy which would have otherwise been utilized for the production of OPC can be saved when a part of OPC is replaced with the blended cements. This saving is about 0.8 to 1.2 megawatt hour plus per ton of cement. Now considering conservation of natural resources, since we are using mineral admixtures for the production of blended cements, the natural resources, that is limestone, clay and silica, which is used for the pure OPC production, is saved, and which will be leading to a natural resource savings. Then considering the conservation of water, we have discussed that the pozzolanic material has an add-on advantage of reducing the water-cement ratio, which will in turn reduce the water consumption for concreting. Considering the pollution control aspects, by reducing the production of cement, the energy consumption as well as the associated pollution of greenhouse gas emission, etc. will be reduced. It is observed that around 7 to 8% of the total pollution is due to the cement production, and by using blended cements, all these disadvantages can be overcome. We have been discussing Module 1 of Advanced Concrete Technology. Here we have discussed aggregates and cements. In aggregates, we have discussed the classification, sampling and testing, influence of properties of aggregates on the properties of concrete, artificial aggregates. Then in cements, we have discussed classification, manufacturing procedure, process of hydration, and blended cements. That's all about Module 1 of Advanced Concrete Technology. Thank you.